Welcome to the Energy Exchange, a podcast for deep feelers and quiet leaders. Here, we explore what happens when we start working with our natural energy in both our business and personal lives. I'm Colleen Wallach. I'm a highly sensitive professional who spent years untangling patterns of overthinking, people-pleasing, and playing small just to feel safe. Now, I help others like me step more fully into their power without losing the superpower of their softness. We don't have to be loud to be seen, and we don't have to push to be powerful. Everything is energy. Let's start this exchange. Welcome into this week's episode of the Energy Exchange. I'm excited about today's topic. Have you ever heard the phrase, never meet your heroes? Most people think that means your heroes will disappoint you, and they will, but it's not for the reason that we think. It's not them that's the problem. It's the pedestal itself that's the problem. Today, we're talking about the pedestal effect, what it is, how it shows up in dating, friendships, work situations, and why it's really dangerous for both you and the person that you're elevating. Putting someone on a pedestal just means that you've decided, subconsciously even, that they are more capable of you, they're more knowledgeable than you, more valuable or desirable than you. Even if you wouldn't consciously say that, as you raise them up, you are automatically lowering yourself. And this is different from admiring someone, having admiration, respect for someone, that still allows for equality. Pedestal status creates hierarchy. And I'm sure this shows up for everyone. I'm focusing obviously on my deep feelers, my quiet leaders, my empaths, people pleasing and imposter syndrome, which are pretty common things that we do or that we have. Those things feed the pedestal effect. You're highly attuned to other people. You notice people's confidence, charisma, authority. And if you're not in a good place yourself, if you're not solid and grounded, it's easy to, instead of letting that inspire you, outsource your power to that. So we create this really interesting energy dynamic where we stop showing up as ourselves. We start managing the relationship instead of participating authentically in it. And we get really, and again, I think all of this is very subconscious, but you get really careful, edited, strategic about how you show up in that dynamic. I'm going to share a personal example of what this can look like in real life. I would say, I think this was 2016, 2017. I met someone that I was convinced was my soulmate. I've just never felt that kind of energy around someone. I was in a new city. I was feeling really light and good. And it was really the first time I experienced what I thought was unconditional love. And once I decided that this was my person, everything else became negotiable. And that's a really big thing that can happen. Like the outcome mattered more than the reality in front of me. That outcome of this being my partner, this being someone I might marry, that became the goal. Even though we kind of came together, drifted apart, came back together again, I was so focused on that outcome that I wasn't seeing where this was not serving me. And in that situation, it's really easy to ignore patterns that if your friend were telling you the same thing about something they're in, you'd be like, oh my God, are you serious? Do you see XYZ? But when it's for you and you've got someone in that higher pedestal status for you, it's easy to miss things. I ignored long stretches of no communication, constant uncertainty about where I stood. Meanwhile, he had legal, logistical chaos, major life events involving other people, not even me, right? So it's easy to let some of those red flags just be dismissed. I think that was a time, I know that was a time where I was really getting into spirituality and thinking about things bigger than us in this 3D world that we're in. And there is a lot of spiritual language that reinforces the pedestal. Concepts like soulmates, twin flames, they can give some meaning to the chaos and make suffering feel purposeful. So I think that my brain was kind of working overtime to protect this story that I was invested in. So long story short, 3 years in, I received some information that could not be reframed. It could not be explained away. And in that moment, the pedestal fully collapsed and it was just done. There was nothing to salvage and no desire to even salvage it because it showed me so clearly how I was not in my authenticity the entire time. Did this person even know me? And did I even know them? No, the answer is absolutely no. So there is that hidden cost. When someone is on the pedestal, there is no realness there. You don't show your messiness. You don't challenge them. You don't express disagreement fully. You might even ignore things about them that bother you. Like those red flags will get softened or rationalized because they don't fit the story or the ideal that you have. The truth, if you are putting them on a pedestal, they probably don't actually know you. They know the version of you that wants to be chosen, approved, or kept around. Whichever side of this you're on, and you'll be on different sides of it, right? In different relationships, the pedestal is the most dangerous place to be. It's unstable. Someone will fall, always. And when they do, the dynamic will shift very dramatically and usually very abruptly. And then we get that disappointment, resentment, withdrawal. Those are all things that will happen when that facade crumbles. And most people don't want to be on a pedestal for you. It's a lot of pressure. It's unrealistic. It's impossible to live up to. Anyone that wants a real connection with you does not want to be on a pedestal. Anyone who enjoys that, they're not for you, okay? They thrive on admiration, control, and that's a really dangerous place for you to be. When you pedestal someone, you're no longer a peer. You're a fan at this point. And fans do not set boundaries. They do not take up equal space, and they're very easy to dismiss. And that can show up as letting them make all the decisions, over accommodating your life to support their wants, their needs, over investing too quickly. There was a time in my life where I definitely did that in romantic relationships in particular. And then, just feeling anxious about losing this person or losing access to them. That's how you know, those are those cues that you have dipped into that place where you are putting someone above you on that pedestal. So to revisit that notion of never meet your heroes, you don't meet your heroes and feel disappointed because they failed. You feel disappointed because you created an ideal that no one can really maintain. The disappointment, that's not going to be their fault. It's that gap you've created between fantasy and reality. You have set them up for failure. And no great relationship, whether that's with your friends, romantic partnership, workplace settings, no relationship is going to thrive in that dynamic. Okay, so how do we know that we're putting someone on a pedestal? Number one, they can do no wrong in your eyes. Their flaws, red flags, they get minimized or ignored altogether. Maybe you defer to them automatically when it comes to making decisions, making plans. You might rush intimacy, commitment, or collaboration. And I think the biggest one is that you're constantly worried they're going to leave your life. For that one right there, you have to ask yourself, if you're thinking that or you're constantly in that state, number one, why do you want to be in a relationship or friendship that could be so easily dismissed? Two, you are absolutely going to let things slide. If you're worried they're going to leave, there are going to be things you don't like or red flags, whatever that is, that you're going to let them get away with. And three, why does this dynamic dictate that they'd have to be the one to leave? You also get to leave if it doesn't feel good for you. You're giving them a lot of power when you're putting them in that place. And once again, no relationship is going to thrive when the power dynamic is so off balance. A little gut check you can use for yourself is ask yourself, would I allow this behavior from someone else? And then also, am I showing up the same way I do in my other relationships? And for me, that's the biggest one. If I'm showing up differently, then I know I'm not in my full expression. And why would I want or why would I entertain any friendship, romantic relationship, business engagement where I don't feel comfortable or where it's not natural for me to show up authentically? And all of this is such a disservice to the other person too. You've assigned them this impossible role. You're setting them up for failure. It's only a matter of time before they will slip in your eyes. You've also made real connection or intimacy almost impossible. Now you're not actually meeting them where they are. They're being projected onto. So the real core truth of all of this is that those pedestal dynamics aren't really about how amazing someone else is. It's really about how unworthy you feel next to them. That's a big time clue that you might be out of alignment or that you need to get more solid within yourself. Admiration, respect, inspiration, all of that can coexist with equality. You can have a lot of respect for someone and all they've accomplished or how they show up without making it mean anything about you. I think we all want connection, or we would all choose connection over elevation. So we have to allow people to be human from the beginning, and we have to really practice staying grounded in our own worth. So no more heroes. We want real relationships, real connections built on mutual respect, reality, that's a big one, and then nervous system safety. So to close this out, try to catch yourself if you're putting someone on a pedestal, because no one wins in that dynamic. Absolutely no one. All right, I'm going to leave it at that. Short and sweet this week. If this episode spoke to you, a quick review would mean the world to me. It helps get more like-minded souls in this space. You can also connect with me on Instagram at the.energy.exchange. That's with an X. Thanks for being here, guys. I will chat with you next week.